Let's implement replies. When we look at our application, we're able to display comments and then this reply button. So if I click on this reply button, we've implemented user authentication guard here in our display comments recursive. So here we say this session has to be set for the user to see this reply button so that if I logged out, okay, it takes me back to, then if I do this, okay, no, I want to click on that particular post because I think that's the only post we've added comments yet. So now it says, please log in to add comments. And then here, even in the reply, we get login to reply. So this is good. I'm going to log back in. We've registered a user. So John Doe, and then this is John user. Okay. So I'm going to go back here so that I won't have to add a new comment anyway. And then, so web development is fun. Thanks for sharing. Now, if we click this reply button, you see, it's not doing anything. So we have to get right to work to ensure that this reply button is working. Let's go back to VS Code. So inside our blogview.php. Now, this is what I was trying to implement the other time. New line to HTML break. So I've implemented it. So it's NL2BR. So that's just for formatting the HTML. So let's make sure our reply button is working. Now, what we intend to do is when we click the reply button on a particular comment, that the button should open up a reply form, and that reply form is going to be the form with which we will reply the particular comment that we wish to reply. So which means this button is going to carry some additional information. So let's say the comment ID of the comments that we wish to reply, so that when the form gets triggered to open, we're going to implement a placeholder for a form, and then that placeholder is also going to contain some kind of data target to that comment ID. So this is what I'm talking about. Here, we're going to pass in some kind of information or payload, if you like. And the way we're going to do that is to use HTML data attributes. So the HTML data attribute is used to store custom data that is private to the page within an HTML document element. Although this data is not displayed to the user, but then we can easily access and manipulate this data with JavaScript and CSS. And perhaps as a caveat, we do not store sensitive information that could potentially compromise our users with data attributes, because anyone can inspect an HTML element and then view what is there in the dev tools. So we don't want to do that. So the information we're going to be storing here are going to be information that are not going to compromise our users. So I'm going to have, we're going to have data, then we're going to have comment ID. So this is how it works. So that when we implement this in our JavaScript, we're going to have, this becomes dataset dot, so it's inside button. So it's going to be button.dataset dot comment ID. And the comment ID is going to be camel case. So let's pass our comment ID here. So this is going to be comment, then ID of the comment. We also need post ID, so data post ID. So this is going to be the post ID of the comment, then post ID. We also need a username. So data user name, which is going to be equals to we can get our session and get our username from our session. So session user, then username. We also need email, so that's data user email is equals to this. So we get it from our user session as well. Session user, then email, like that. So this is carrying some information regarding our comments. So the next thing is to implement the placeholder for the comment form. So here we have, what is it? We have this div with this class reply. So let me just copy this. Copy and then back up here. Inside display comments recursive, we're going to have a placeholder for reply form. So here we're going to have echo. So I'm going to paste this, and then I'm going to close it, div. So this div is going to carry the comment ID of the comments that we are trying to reply, so that when we click this opens up a form for us. So I'm going to change this this inline style. I'm going to add another class here known as dnone. I'll check in a minute to see that I've implemented that in the HTML, in the CSS. So this is going to take an ID. So we're going to have ID equals reply form, and then let's have this, and then let it breathe a bit. Okay, so here we have a comment ID. So that's the ID of the comment that we are going to reply. So when we click this, this is going to fire. It's going to open up a form for us, but we still have to implement it in our JavaScript. Okay. So what else do we need to implement? Now we need to implement our form. But before I do that, here where I comment out this template, you realize inside our comment list, which is our parent div holding our comments and replies. So we invoke this display comment recursive here. When you look at here, we have comment item. The comment item displays our comment, and then our reply form. And then here in the reply list, we have comment item reply. So what I'm saying is the class for comment is just comment item. And now the class for reply list, we have comment item reply. Inside our display comments recursive, I don't think we've implemented that to add that additional class. So let's do that. To do that, I'm going to add another parameter. So let's call this is reply, and then let's set that to false, just to handle that class. Then if we set that to false, then we can do item class. So if is reply is true, then let's have a comment item reply class. Otherwise, we're just going to have comment item. So when we do this here, instead of passing this, what we're going to do instead is we're going to pass this. We're going to pass item class like that. And then there's one more thing for our, what is that? Okay, this is our reply list. So when we invoke this display comment recursive inside here to display our replies, we have to pass the second argument, and here we're going to set this to true. So when it is true, when this item class is true, we get is reply, which is, no, when it is true, we get this class. Okay. So that's that. I think the next thing for us to do is to implement our reply form. So to do that, I'm going to copy this. Okay. So when I copy this, I'm going to go to, well, since we're going to implement just one script for our JavaScript, we can just do it inline here. So this was the placeholder code for handling the reply button. So this was selecting all buttons with this class inside our comment section block, and then it's just it's using this event listener to toggle the visibility of the form. So we have from display none to display block and display none like that. So we don't need this. We have to implement our own in relation to our comments. Okay, so here let's do document dot get element by ID, get element by ID. No, sorry, that's not what I want to do. I want to do document dot add event listener, because we want to implement dump content loaded. So for the dump content loaded, this is what I'm talking about. Add event listener. Silly me. So this is dump content loaded. And then we pass a callback function here. Okay, so inside here we're going to handle our script for our reply. Now the dump content loaded, what it does is it's an event that fires when a web page initial HTML document has been fully loaded and passed. So this allows us to use JavaScript to manipulate the DOM trees without waiting for asset like images or CSS. So document.add event listener. An event is a signal. In JavaScript speak, an event is a signal that something needs to be, an action needs to be performed. So when we say document.add event listener, then we pass this. This is the name of the events, DOM content loaded. So we're getting a signal that says an action needs to be performed. So as soon as our HTML document loads, this event fires. Hopefully that makes sense. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to access this section. Our comment section. Everything is happening inside this section. So it goes on and on like that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to access this comment section. So let's do that. Here we're going to have const comment section. Then we're going to have a document dot get element by ID. So we need an ID here inside our comment section. So I'm going to set an ID. I'm going to call it comment section. Comment section. Okay. So here I'm going to grab the ID comment section like that. So then we're going to implement our reply form. So we're going to use a function. So let's have function create reply form. This is going to take some parameters. We're going to pass parent ID. We're going to pass username. We're going to pass email. We're going to pass post ID. And then we're going to return our form. So let's use template string. Then I'm going to paste the form I copied the other time. Okay. So that we don't forget, let's specify our action here. Remember, we're using this undo comments script to undo our comments. So when we have submit comments, this is the post variable for that. And then when we have submit reply, this is the post variable for that. So we have this or this. So let's go back here and then let me pass this name attribute to our submit button. So the name attribute is submit reply. So the this is going to be PHP handle comments dot PHP, and then for a method it's going to be post. Okay, so that's done. Then we're going to need some hidden inputs here, just much like we did for our comment form. So to do that, this required us to go, even our placeholder has to go. So we can have hidden, and then let's say our name. Our name is name, so much like we did in comment form. And then the value is going to be username, this one. So we're going to have uname.trim in case you have a longer username. So I'm going to copy this, and then we're going to paste this here a couple of times because we need more hidden inputs. So this should be for email, and then here we should have email, and then we need post ID and parent ID. So hidden name, post ID. The value is going to be post ID. Post ID. This post ID. We also need a parent ID. So hidden name, parent ID. The value is going to be parent ID. Parent ID. Now here in our text area, we also need a name attribute. So name should be comment. So all of these are in line with what we did here, while we're setting our name variables, our post variables. So name, email, comment, post ID, and parent ID. It's the same script handling both comments and replies. So let's go back to block view, and then okay, so we have created our form. Let's figure a way to display it when we click the placeholder container for our form. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have an event listener that listens to a click event, and then we're going to get our reply button, every instance of our reply button inside our comment section section. So we can do comment section dot add event listener, and then the name of the event is click, and then this function has to fire. So when we set this event, the first thing we have to do is we have to get our button, our reply button. So this is button, which is event.target. So we're going to target that button with reply btn class. So after that, we can do if button dot class list. Now the reason we're doing class list dot contains is because eventually we're going to have more than one reply btn inside our comment section, because we cannot anticipate for how many comments or replies we would have in that section. So we're saying if button the class list that contains reply btn, so we're going to get our parent ID. We're going to set our parent ID to our comment ID. Recall we said top level comments is going to be null, while subsequent replies, so subsequent replies is going to be the ID of our top level comments. So that's what we're doing here. Parent ID is going to be button dot dataset dot comment ID, camel case like we said. So this one. Okay, so we've gotten the comment ID. Good. Then we can do we can target the form container. Form container equals document dot get element by ID. So we have then we have reply. What's the ID of our form container? We go back to display comments recursive. Where is it? So here it's reply form, then comment ID. So let's do that. So ID is a reply form. Then our comment ID is our parent ID now for our replies. So here we have okay, I think I've made a mistake. I think this should be double quotes. And then we have reply form, and then this is template syntax, template string really. Okay, so reply form. So I wasn't getting the proper formatting. So that's that. We've targeted our reply form container. So we have to display it, and the way we display it is to toggle. So we can toggle form container. Okay, so when we do that, we can do if our form container dot class list dot contains, if it doesn't contain dnone, this class, remember our display none, dnone is set to display none. So where is it? Inside our display comments recursive, we have this placeholder for our reply form, and then we set it to display none, so dnone. So here in my CSS, I've set display to none. So at the minute, it does not display. So what we're doing here, we say, so since we are going to toggle the behavior of that container, say if it doesn't contain this class, then we're going to have to hide the class. So we say form container dot class list dot hide. We have to add dnone, that class, and then when we add it, we don't want to display anything, so we say form container dot inner HTML is equals to empty string, and then we'll return. That's that. Now, for our reply form, let's undo that. For our reply form, let's have document dot query selector, or because we're going to have more than one reply form anyway as our comment grows, as our comment tree grows. So here we have we're going to have reply form. Hopefully we have that class in our reply form. What is it? I don't think we have the class, so I have to that document the query selector. Huh? I'm coming. Display comments recursive. Okay, so this reply form, this one is the container for our form. So we have this class. Good. So let's go back to our script. So we select every instance of this class, and then we can say, we can look through it for each div. Remember, it's an empty div. So, and then here we're going to do div the class list dot add display none. So from the get-go, we want every instance of our reply form to not display. Okay, so we want to close. So this we close. Let me just add this. This closes other open reply forms. Okay, so we have to set div dot inner HTML to empty string here. Okay, and then after that, let's have let's display our create reply form. Then we can do form container dot class list. No, class list. No, messing that up. This should be, since we are trying to display our create reply form, so this should be inner HTML equals create reply form. Then we're going to pass arguments here. The first one is a parent ID. We've undone that. So here we have parent ID. The second one is our username. So we have button the dataset dot username camel case, and then the next one is email. So that's button dot dataset dot user email camel case, and then we have a post ID button dot dataset dot post ID camel case. So we have to remove, because where everything the reply form is set to display none at this point. So now we are trying to display the reply form. So to do that, we have to remove that class. Form container dot class list dot remove dnone. Okay. Now the next thing to do is to undo cancel button. Remember, I don't think we implemented cancel button. We didn't, so let's undo that here. I'm going to pass a div that should contain two buttons. So here I'm going to have div, no, div. So let's pass class. Let's call this form actions. Form actions. And then here we're going to pass our two buttons. This is the first one, which is the submit button, and then this is the second one, which is the cancel button. So we don't need a name attribute for the cancel button. The type is just button, and then the class, I think this should be cancel btn. Cancel btn, and then here we're going to have cancel. Not only that, we have to cancel for each of our reply, each of our comments. So we have to target the parent ID here. So here we can do data target. So we're going to target reply form, and then the parent ID. Parent ID. This parent ID. So reply form parent ID. I don't know if I've undone the styling of cancel btn. So let's go to style.css. Cancel btn. Okay, so I have it. Good. So let's go back to block view.php. Now we're trying to undo our cancel.btn. So let's undo that. So here we're going to do undo cancel button. So here we can say if button dot class list dot contains cancel btn, the class we just added now. Then we can do const target ID equals button dot dataset dot target. That's data target that we set. So button dot dataset dot target, and then here we say const container equals document dot get element by ID. So we pass a target ID here. Okay, and then we do container dot class list dot add. Then we have to add this class. So it goes back to when we click the cancel button, our reply form goes back to display none. And then we don't want to display any HTML, so we have container dot inner HTML is empty string now. Okay. Fingers crossed. Let's see if this works. And if it didn't work, then we have to come back here and check whether we've blundered our code somewhere. Alright, so I'm going to go back to the browser, our application. I'm going to refresh. Okay, so now let's click this. Okay, so this works. Good job. And then if I click cancel, even this toggles it because we implemented it. Okay, toggle functionality, good. So the next thing for us to do is to add a reply. Do you think AI is a threat to web? Oh, okay. What I'm going to do is, hold on, I'm going to register a new user to reply John Doe. So I'm going to log out, and then I'm going to register a new user. That's John Doe. Now let's do full name Elizabeth Taylor. Okay, and then here we have Elizabeth at gmail.com, and then here let's have Elizabeth user. Hope I'm alright. Elizabeth user. Then let's have Elizabeth user. Okay, no. Elizabeth user. Okay. Otherwise, the validation is going to kick in. Okay, so we'll register a new account. Okay, so we have that. Then we can log in with our username, Elizabeth Taylor, and then here we have Elizabeth user. Okay, so now we have Elizabeth Taylor. We were here inside web design. Do you think AI is a threat to web development? It's just generic reply. Okay, so we have status success. So which means our reply is working. So we have 2 comments, John Doe. So we have this for our reply. So a user can reply their own comment or reply as they like. uh, I think front end front end web design is under significant threat right now. This is just generic comments. Don't read any meaning into this. So okay, so we have status success. 3 comments, our top level comments, then our replies. So you see we have a tree of comments. As we add more comments, the branches will grow. Okay. Artificial intelligence. Then here we can say AI is trained. Okay. Since AI is trained on human data, it only makes sense that it apes some of our behaviors, like this behavior spelling is wrong. Behaviors like deception, responsibility shirking, and that's not to say that AI is conscious. Okay, so like I said, don't read any meaning into this. So if I click post, okay, so we have this. So we can reply if we want, reply like that. So guys, I think that's all for our comment and reply system. Everything is working as intended. So I'll see you guys the next video. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe.